Good evening and welcome to another video from Ríðar of Wyrd. We are doing the Havamal study group again. We'll be using the study Havamal that has 3 translations in it by the Hunin and Moonin Publishing Company. A couple of our friends out here will be using
the James Chisholm translation from 2009.
And I am using the Poetic Edda, new translations from Carolyn Larrington.
Okay. So today we'll be going over stanza 14.
Excuse me.
Would you like to start us off?
Yes, I will begin with Bray. Drunk was I then, I was overdrunk, in the crafty Jotun's court, but best in an ale feast when man is able to call back his wits at once.
Okay, so Thorpe says, drunk I was overdrunk in that cunning Falliar? Falliar. Falliar? I can't do that the way it's It's the best drunkenness, for everyone after it regains his reason.
I became drunk, roaring drunk with wise Fjallar. The best wassail is that which a man leaves with his wits.
Wow. Drunk I was more than drunk at wise Fjallar's, that the best sort of ale drinking, then afterwards every man gets his mind back again.
And Bellows, drunk I was dead drunk with Falliar. Wise I was, 'tis the best of drinking. If back one brings his wisdom with him home. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
On one hand, it sounds kind of twisty, windy, convoluted.
It's kind of like the other side of the coin from the previous stanza.
Okay, so think of this. Liquid courage.
Liquid to loosen the tongue.
Right. So he's saying he was so drunk he thought he knew what he was saying when he was at his. Maybe I'm taking it at the Jotun's table, but he got so drunk that he drank himself sober.
And I have heard of that.
Yeah.
I've heard of that, but I don't want to take that responsibility because I know people who have gotten drunk from or alcohol poisoning too. So,
And it's not fun.
No.
Right.
No.
It's not fun to get that drunk.
Well, another thing here is maybe he said he drank just enough that it's better that you don't drink that much because you leave with your wits.
That's what I thought.
And I like that he went home with his wits.
Right.
Right.
Like,
Well,
I sobered up to the point where I wasn't a drunken idiot all the way home.
No, just halfway home, right?
Yeah, right.
Well, he was at a Jotun's table. Once you figure out you're at a Jotun's table, you kind of try to want to wake up a little bit, maybe.
Okay, like when we are here, we enjoy our mead and our togetherness, but yet we are not so under the table
Don't leave me.
that we you just happen to be there, right? Right. Here, oh, look at that. That you just happen to be. Never mind.
Sorry.
Ooh, hello, sexy. Anyway.
Oh, you win.
So yes, I did go there.
The speaker.
You're not so inebriated you can't function. So you have your mind back, really, and you're not so lost in your cups
Right.
or your horns,
Right.
in our sense, that you actually are capable of functioning and doing what needs to be. Now, in my case, I would never try to perform any kind of esoteric rites because, you're still not in the right exact frame of mind, but, still.
Okay, so. Okay, I have questions then.
Fire that one up. Go
Okay.
ahead.
So, you don't want to overdrink when you're doing anything spiritual, is what you're saying.
Right.
So, what about drumming? What about spirit walk?
When you are doing something specific, you're drinking enough to relax your mind. And how did you know I knew this?
That's
You
why I was
shaman.
asking.
You're
still
drinking enough to relax your mind, to let that part wander, whether you're doing it with alcohol or
Something else.
yeah, something that's recently become legal in
Right.
some locations.
Here.
You're doing enough
Well, and
Or
it's
that
water.
you're
like
not
warm- what is that
losing
that some people-
track of what you're doing, but yet you're relaxed enough
Huh?
that
My word.
your inhibitions,
Sometimes.
yeah, I gotta be careful with that word,
Mhm.
inhibitions,
Mhm.
your rigid controls
Yes.
are more relaxed, and you can
You're
slip in,
open.
you can slip into that dream state,
Absolutely.
that trance state so much easier as opposed to your normal waking mind.
Sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Your theta brainwave is a lot closer to the surface.
Right. So
Pardon me for getting so technical, guys.
historically, people have taken things like peyote
Yes,
Sure.
and sat in sweat lodges
Cannabis.
while doing it. They've used cannabis. They've used other
Mugwort.
herbs, mushrooms,
Mugwort.
What's that?
Mugwort.
word?
Vervain, Damiana.
yeah, mugwort, catnip,
Yeah.
Damiana.
a ton of stuff.
Belladonna. Oh wait, no.
So
Actually,
Keep that off the
No, not
list.
really.
Moss amount.
Whatever they do in
So-
the Amazon.
Oh,
Yeah,
So
what
the-
is that one?
DMT.
It's kind of
Starts
psilocybin.
with E or something.
right.
It begins with a Y. Oh, A-Y.
She said DMT. She said it starts with something, and
There's
You know
so
what I'm
many.
talking
it's
none
so
of
busy.
us are.
Yeah,
familiar.
it really are.
Now you also have
But yeah,
to take
that-
into
that thing.
consideration what are you allergic to?
That's a huge point.
Okay.
We worry about that later.
Okay.
You know,
So
I
what about
really
Oh my goodness.
sometimes.
cultures where they would use poison?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Snake venom was
Yeah.
used in quite a few
Frogs.
African cultures.
In the
So
Native American,
Frogs.
they use
Frogs.
they use rattlesnake venom to go into
I
that
knew
same trance.
yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
you literally name your poison.
We have a
Please
quick
don't
shot.
do any of this at home.
In Samoa, they
You're not
drink
responsible.
kava.
What is
Gaba.
kava?
Kava. It is a root where
Oh,
they.
kava.
Yeah, kava. They like squeeze it, and then this drink comes out, and it's alcoholic, but it's like very low percentage.
Mm.
So basically, like the chiefs and the guys and the important guys are gonna
Sure.
sit around this huge bowl. It's a huge wooden bowl full
Mhm.
of kava, and they just drink. And then if you want more, you like. It's kind of fun actually.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
But yeah,
have been-
kava root.
But
Well,
GABA
that's
is
true.
also in a lot of, and I hate to say this way, but in a lot of energy drinks
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Is that guarana
And-
though? Or
is guarana, but
Yeah.
it's also in the same category.
Yes,
It's in the
it
same
is.
thing.
I mean,
it's also in a few other things.
But there's also roots also that we know of that do pretty much the same. It's still a stimulant.
yes,
Okay, so-
It's still a stimulant.
it's
That's-
one.
that's
It's
the
another
main-
one of those.
You're either
things that
going
you
to
guys are
use a stimulant or some
talking
sort of
You're going to use a stimulant or you're going to use a depressant.
Right.
Right.
Okay, so knowing
Something
the
to
difference
alter.
is the key. That's what I was getting at.
yes. Absolutely.
So I was agreeing with everything you were saying.
Yes.
But okay, we squirreled a little bit.
Mhm.
No, actually, we're still
Oh,
basically
right.
on the topic of
Yes.
Yeah, because you're
Yeah.
discussing
So
how
here's
it's
the thing.
okay to
So-
partake.
Right. If you're in a
Minimally.
controlled area
Mhm.
doing something
Absolutely.
controlled and you still have your wits about you,
Mhm.
sometimes it's beneficial.
Mhm.
Yes.
I'm wondering whether that translation is stating pretty much like no, you can have a good time, but know your limits and still be
Yeah.
able to keep
Yeah,
your
absolutely.
mind when you go home.
Yeah.
I think
So it's
that's
okay to have a
it
good
pretty
time.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
that's how that whole thing got started.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But you also have to remember
And then we got
too
into-
that Odin is known as the god of inspiration as well. And it is also said that he likes mead more than anything else. He normally feeds his food to his wolves.
Right.
So
That's
So
a
there's
whole other
that.
topic.
right.
Well, that's a whole other topic. That's also
Paradoxical.
Yeah.
And he probably does that within his own home too. That's different.
Yes.
Well, it says he sits in his
Yeah.
high seat at Vault.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely.
Yes, and it's also considered somewhat of a offering when he feeds his food to the wolves.
Yes.
Yep.
Because he's offering it to the dead, which his wolves have also eaten.
Yep.
And sometimes that, yeah.
Who didn't make it. Right. So there's a whole other. That's a whole other topic for a long time.
Still there.
But the whole thing is leading up until now, up until this stanza.
Right.
He was saying, watch your mouth when you drink, watch your thoughts when you drink, watch who you are when you
It's
drink.
not a safe area.
Well, yeah, and
Right.
especially when you go to someone else's house. Remember, that's kind of how it all started.
Again,
was
you're not in a safe area.
Right.
You're
Yeah.
not in your own home.
yep,
Yeah.
watch how you act,
Right.
watch how you
But
treat
now
the
he's
people
saying,
hosting you.
I was drunk to the point where I was dead drunk to the
That's
point
great.
where I had my wits. I knew what I was doing, and I had a good time. So yeah, it's completely. You are 100% right.
Mhm.
Yes.
Have you ever witnessed someone who's so drunk that they think they aren't?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I've seen a lot of people so drunk that they say they
So
are.
he was so drunk that
He thought he was sober.
sober.
Right.
Drink a
So,
Four Loko.
whether or not that was his own personal vision at that point, because he was the guy trying to get his car keys back when he couldn't even walk straight. Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and I also think because in the previous stanza, he pretty much admitted that he was, like, what did he say? He said, I forget the name of the goddess of mead. Who he's talking about?
Mulan.
Good luck.
Yeah, and he's saying in her court, I was like,
Thrash.
I was
Yeah.
fettered.
yeah, fettered. That was the
court
word
of
he
Right.
used.
law.
Fettered. Tied up.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he knew he.
Snagged up, hosed up,
yeah.
and just, you ain't going nowhere because you
Mhm.
just ain't going nowhere.
Sure. Sure. So, I mean, it's, again, know your limits and know what you're doing and know where you're at, basically.
Because if you
But
don't,
you can
there's-
still have a good time while you're drinking.
Absolutely.
all right. Well,
And I think it's also important to just mention that part of being a good guest as well is knowing
Sure.
your limits, because it's not your host's responsibility
to take
Yeah,
care of
to
you.
take
know
care of
that.
you.
Sure.
So knowing your limits and not exceeding that, turning yourself into a poor guest, is also important.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's another stanzas later.
Yes. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to add?
No.
So at this point, I'd like to ask our audience at home who's watching this to please comment. We actually want your opinion.
Yep.
Because we don't know if we don't know, and if you know something we don't know, then we'd like to know.
Or another idea, point of view.
Yes.
Right.
So, once again, from Ríðar och Wyrd, friends of Ríðar och Wyrd, and all the other people that are out there, we appreciate you watching. Please, please, please leave us a comment. We're going to start putting links to some of the stuff to his downloadable book.
Yep.
And maybe references when we can. But we want your feedback. Please like, subscribe, do the usual YouTube thing. Hey, like our page. It can be
Like,
corny
comment,
everyone.
subscribe.
Right.
The bell
Um,
thing for
Yep.
notifications.
And as always, stay safe and be responsible.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Brightest blessings.
Good night.